I wanted to talk today about your science fair and this first step, which is your planning sheet. Now, we've gone through some brainstorming. I've had you guys do a little research. Last class period, which was last Friday, the 21st, January 21st, I had you guys go ahead and vote on some categories. And so where we sit now is that everybody's voted, or at least everyone who is going to vote has, and these are our four top categories. We have one being music, two being Rube Goldberg, three being sports/nutrition science, and four being technology. So those are our four categories. Your science fair projects are going to have to be entered into one of those four categories. Okay, and so it doesn't really matter to me necessarily which ones you choose. We are going to have some that are more popular and more projects in one category than another, but choose something that is going to interest you, okay? And today, I'm just reading straight from this now, today you'll start working on your planning sheet, okay? And you can click here to get a digital copy, but I'll bring one up too to here on the screen in just a second to show you. And on your planning sheet, you're going to do the following, okay? Now, I'll put this simple for you guys. This is a really big assignment, okay? It doesn't mean there's a whole bunch that goes into it, but on importance level, it's really big, okay? This basically sets out your whole science fair project and what you're going to do and how you're going to do it. And it shows me that you've thought through it enough to get all of these factors of your science fair figured out. And in doing so, it will help you to move on to the next step, which is actually starting your science fair project, okay? So you're going to, on your planning sheet, identify and discuss your research question. You're going to make a hypothesis. You're going to determine the materials necessary. You're going to determine the independent variable, dependent variable, and your control variable, okay? And I'm going to go a little more in depth about what that looks like, okay? So let me go ahead and pull up that sheet for you guys. Okay, so this is one that I was working on, but yours is going to be blank in all of these categories. So your research question, your hypothesis, materials necessary, your independent variable, dependent variable, control variable, and then at the end I asked for units that you're going to be using for your dependent variable, as well as the tools that you're going to use to measure them. Okay, so I'll go ahead and use the example that I used last week. I'm doing my own little experiment right now, and so I'm going to write one up for mine. And basically, backstory, this last summer we got a dog, and we wanted one that was medium-sized. And so we got a little guy who was 9 weeks old when we got him, but we'd gotten an email the prior week when we picked him out, and they said he's 8 weeks old and he's 12 pounds, and we think he'll be 40 to 60 pounds when he's full grown. I said, great, awesome. And so we picked him up. It was from a shelter, so they didn't really know anything about mom and dad. They just kind of made guesses about how big the parents were. And so we got home with him, and this was in Indiana because we were visiting family down south, and we were there for a few more weeks with him, and he was growing quite a bit in those first couple of weeks. And so which is expected. He was a puppy, but he was growing bigger than we expected. So I started thinking, all right, is there a way I can find out or predict how big my dog is going to be? And basically, I went online and I put in something to the effect of puppy size calculator. And I misspelled calculator, but what I got was this, dog size calculator. How big will my puppy get? And this website's pretty cool. It takes a real simple formula, which it actually tells you if you do a little bit of reading on the website. But otherwise, all you do is enter your puppy's age here in weeks. You enter its current weight, and it will predict for you your adult weight. And so for my first data, I had that he was 8 weeks old and 12 pounds, because that's what they told me. And they predicted him to be about 78 pounds full grown. And I didn't know if this was accurate or not, this website. Of course, I still don't, but this has been a little project that I've been doing. So my question is, does the online dog weight calculator predict dog sizes accurately? That's really what I want to know, right? Can I look at this website and can I predict my dog's size accurately? Is this a tool that if somebody gets a puppy in the future, I can say, hey, go use the dog weight calculator to predict how big your dog's going to be when he grows up? Or is it something that doesn't really hold too much truth? So that's what I'm looking at here. My hypothesis is an if-then statement. If I say what I'm going to do, then I predict what I think is going to happen. So if I weigh my dog every week for the first year of his life, then I will find that the weight calculator is close but not exact. And more specifically, I put my dog will weigh less than what is predicted. My dog is almost 9 months old, and he's at almost 79 pounds. And so they predicted him at being 110 pounds at his adult weight, which I don't think he's going to be that big. That's a big dog. I just don't think he's going to be quite that big. So that's my hypothesis, okay? Materials necessary. I need my dog, Romeo, and a scale. And this is a scale that, takes pretty large weights. And this weight is in pounds and ounces. Okay, so my materials necessary, that's all I need. Okay, you just list them out. This doesn't have to be a complete sentence. Your research question should be, and it should be a question with a question mark at the end, and your hypothesis should also be a complete sentence with an if-then statement. My independent variable is the thing that I change on purpose. Okay, maybe with this, I'm doing weekly weigh-ins, and so I'm seeing a different adult weight prediction every week. That could be an independent variable. It could be that I take a friend who has a puppy and do some weigh-ins with their puppy, and obviously not as common as what I'm doing with my dog because I do mine every week, but maybe theirs will be about the same. And maybe I could do theirs just a few times in that first year. And I actually have a friend whose puppy was born on the same exact day as mine. They're not related, but I can, every now and then I can weigh him in. So maybe that's a good option for me. Independent variable, it'll help me get to understanding if another dog is going to maybe be more or less accurate according to this website. The dependent variable, that's the thing that we measure, in this case my dog's weight. My control variable, there's a couple ways to look at that. The control variable, I could use some examples found online. I could use whatever they're predicting as the control variable because it's going to change each week, and so maybe I'll average that or something. But in this case, I'm going to say the control variable is more or less. Let's look at some things that stay the same as we test this. So things that could affect my dog's weight as he weighs in that I'm going to try and make sure I steer clear of because I want to keep it as consistent as possible. I want to test on the same day of the week. Okay, so he was born on a Friday, so I test every Friday, so he's exactly on the week mark every day that I test. I don't test a Friday one week and then a Sunday the next week because it's not going to be a weekly value if I do that. Excuse me. I'll make sure that I test the same time of the day relative to meals, and so he usually eats at like 5 or 6, and I usually test him at maybe 7 or 8. So usually an hour and a half to 2 hours after his dinner is when I weigh him to see how much he weighs. And I use the same scale every time I do it, as well as the same method, okay? Those would be my control variables. In what unit or units will you measure your dependent variable? I'm using pounds and ounces. And what tool will I use? A scale, okay? So that's it. This may take a lot of thought that goes into it, and many of you will probably need some help from me to at least, kind of make sure you're on the right foot, starting this off in the right way. But if you have questions, feel free to email or ask in person. Okay, good luck.